Hi there, I'm Rodrigo from DJ Tech Zone. Welcome to my review of the XDJ-700 media player from Pioneer DJ. It's the latest media player to come out from Pioneer DJ. It came out a little while ago. I'm reviewing it now, and it's the small brother of the XDJ-1000, which already has a successor, the XDJ-1000 MK2, which I hope to get into my studio pretty soon for a review. But for now, let's focus on an the XDJ-700 media player from Pioneer DJ. An interesting and important feature of this player is that, quite an important feature, is that it has no CD player like the 1000 version as well. It means that it's a player intended to be used with Rekordbox DJ with USB sticks exclusively. You can also connect it to the laptop and use it as a DJ controller. So specifically with this controller is that it has a different jog wheel compared to the 1000. It's a smaller jog wheel. It's a mechanical jog wheel as well. So it's activated by pressing, and it's pretty good. It's you know, it's quite responsive and it's weighted well from my taste. I like it. Of course, there is no central LED like in other CDJ and the XDJ-1000 controllers, or in the DDJ, for example, here the RX controller. This would have been nice, of course, to have this central LED there, but we don't have it. And that's, well, it's a budget controller, so what can you expect for under $700 as price? The build itself is solid. It's plastic. It feels plastic, and it is plastic as well, a bit brushed on the top plate and glossy around the screen. But it doesn't weigh that much. I'm not going to lift it because then I'm going to screw up the camera angle. On the back side of the XDJ, we have a few simple connections like the USB. We have a LAN connection here, RCA, and the power cable. So no digital out and fancy stuff like that. That's only for the most expensive or more expensive players. But it does have a lot of features for such a budget media player. And it can do a lot of stuff, and all or most of the stuff is controlled by the screen. So on the screen is where the magic happens. Of course, there are some physical controls around the jog wheel as well, like the beat selector, the reloop and the exit of the loop button, the track search, the search within a track, cue and play buttons, which are metal and resemble quite the buttons or the cue play pause buttons on the CDJs, which is good, so you get used to that as well. A long throw pitch fader, which can go the full 100% if needed. You can adjust that there's a physical button for that, so you can go from 6%, 10, 16 and wide. So nice to work with, long throw, good for beat matching. So you have the vinyl mode to know if you are or scratching or you are nudging the track. So that's handy. And the big encoder that has several functions. For example, when it's not in the library, you can set the zoom on your waveform, which is cool, and a back button and a tech track for manipulating tracks and manipulating or browsing your library. Those are the buttons on the XDJ-700, the physical buttons. Let's dive into the screen, because that's, as I said, where everything happened. And we'll start with looking at USB. And USB means that you have a USB stick or a USB hard disk connected to the USB slot, and that you're playing from the USB. It also means that you prepared your songs in Rekordbox DJ and that you worked in the Rekordbox DJ software, as you can see on the screen, to prepare all your tracks. So you prepared your tracks, you exported your tracks through the sync manager to the stick. You plug the stick into the player and you play along. This is the situation when you have the most control over what you do on the player. So all the metadata that is saved when you're analyzing and exporting your tracks is accessible on the player, and it means that you can do a lot of cool stuff, and you have also the full length waveforms when you're playing. So I'll show a few of the things here. When you go into perform mode, you have access to the cues. And note that I have quantize on right now, which means that my tracks hitting on the cues is being quantized by the player, so I cannot go offbeat. If I put it out, it's quite responsive, eh? So it does need some getting used to, but it's quite responsive. If you want to set a cue point, you have to record it. You have to press record and enter the cue point. You can also set loops. And reduce the size of the loop accordingly. If you hit slip mode, what happens is that the settings for the loop become roll features. So I'm going out of this loop. So now you can roll for different loop sizes. You can roll the track. And slip mode means also that you can manipulate the jog wheel without the track going out of sync. You have to put vinyl mode, of course. Quite cool. There is also a reverse. There is also a reverse mode. And there is also a vinyl brake mode. I haven't yet found on how to adapt the length of the vinyl brake. I'm not sure if it's possible. Couldn't find it in the manuals either, but I'm sure that's something that could eventually be adapted through the utilities menu in some upgrade. Would be cool if you can adapt that easily, how quick it is. So I talked about the quantize, I talked about the performance features. You also have the sync and the master button. However, for that you need two players, as you can see, or you cannot see it. Yes, you can see it. I don't have a second player here, unfortunately. I only have one, so I cannot show you sync and master. But you know, if you're a DJ, you know how that works. Syncing means you sync the two players together. Master means that one of the players is a master tempo player and holds the tempo, and the other player is synced to that master tempo. So that's not difficult to understand. I don't really need to have two players to show you that. Now, going further down the library, so the library mode shows you all the information related to your track. And if you want to change how the information or the tracks are sorted, you can do that. You can sort by different parameters. I like to sort everything by BPM because I usually try to stay close BPM wise when I play out, when I DJ. You have an utility menu. So the utility menu allows you to show you the play state of the tracks, which tracks have been played, which tracks have not been played. If you press long on the menu, you can get information or utility settings for the player, like the play mode, load lock to load when a track is playing, the auto cue level, and so forth. A lot of different things that you can set. If you press the info, you can get information about the link. So the link, and we're going to go into that, means that two players are connected through an Ethernet connection. Another thing that you can do, which is cool with this player, is that you can search your tracks on the screen with a QWERTY keyboard. So I can go and type in what I want and find the songs that I need and just select them from there. Quite easy. And load them. This is a very, very small player, and it's not very high either. So It's a bit higher than my RX, but it's much lower than a standard club mixer. So if you want to put a player at club mixer height, you have this a little stand that is provided with your player. You click it underneath and it will come to the standard size of any standard club mixer out there, so that you have everything at the nice height that it has to be. That's pretty cool. Let's see if there is anything else on the screen. So you can, as I said, change the size of the waveform when you are playing. When you're in performance mode, you still have half of the waveform that is displayed, which is handy, and you have always the small waveform underneath that keeps showing you all the information on the track. So you always know where you are in the track and what you are doing. That's pretty cool. So those are more or less the functions that this player can fulfill, and all the features that it has. There are a few more small things like tagging, if you can tag tracks and bring them on, so for your preparation mode. Those are additional small things, but those are the most important features of the player. So if you're looking for a player that is capable of working with Rekordbox DJ, and you work with Rekordbox DJ, you don't mind the smaller jog wheels, you don't mind, or you need a smaller form factor, and you don't want to spend a fortune on it, this is actually a very, very capable piece of equipment. Additional features are the link connection, which unfortunately I cannot show you now because I only have one player and I don't have the Ethernet cable to connect to the computer, and it's not very difficult to understand. You just connect two players together with an Ethernet cable, and then you can share the USB stick with different players. Up to 4 players can be connected with one USB, using one USB. You will probably need something like a hub to do it. Don't use a router, because that has additional network processing and information that could harm or could prevent from the players of communicating. If you connect your computer to the same hub through the Ethernet cable, you can access the Rekordbox DJ library on your computer. So in that mode, in the link mode, it's not controlling the software on your computer, it's just accessing the data on your computer. There is an additional mode, which is the Rekordbox DJ mode, the performance mode, where the player connects to USB, a USB cable, who is set here, so no Ethernet there, through USB to the computer, and controls the software on the computer. We're going to connect to the computer now using the USB cable, and we're going to select the deck that we want the player to control. So we selected deck 3. So now I have to switch my computer into PC mode, so that my channel 3 is controlling, the Rekordbox DJ software, and the player is controlling deck 3. So if I switch to let's say 4 deck vertical, my third deck is actually being controlled by Rekordbox DJ. So if I load up a song, you can see it popping up on the screen, and it will play out. So I have the small waveform here, I have my bigger waveform on my screen. Maybe that's easier to follow. So my deck 4, and actually I have access to my performance mode. So you see that both are changing. But what I can also do is to switch my controller to deck 3 on my deck, and I have access to my effects from my controller. So basically in this mode, the XDJ-700 becomes a MIDI controller or an extra deck for my controller, And that's pretty cool because it means that I can have two controllers on each side, my DJ controller as a central hub. I can work with 4 decks. I can switch all my control between the decks to access effects, but I can also not switch and have really 4 decks of control over my software, which I personally prefer over having a 2-deck controller with 4 channels and switch buttons, because for me it gets confusing after a while. So I really like the XDJ-700 as an extension of your DJ controller setup. If you want to go a little bit further, but you don't want to do the step of buying a full DJM CDJ setup or any other brand, full club setup, this is a way to have 4 decks of control for an additional 1.2K US dollar, which is the cost of the 2 XDJ-700. So a pretty sweet deal in my opinion, and worth considering if you're a controller DJ. Additionally, you can have your USB sticks always connected. If something fails on your computer, you flip the switch, and since this is a hardware mixer, you have always sound coming out of your mixer. So it's also a super cool backup solution. So I would consider to buy this if you are a controller DJ, if you have a 4-channel hardware mixer DJ controller that is compatible with Rekordbox DJ. So basically, if you are in that situation, I would definitely recommend the XDJ as an extension. If you don't have a controller and you are looking at this unit as your first gear, well, be prepared to work without a PC. So don't buy these unless you are ready to DJ without a computer, meaning preparing your stuff on the computer, plugging USB, and then working with a hardware setup, an XDJ, a mixer like the DGM-450 from Pioneer that came out recently, which is a pretty good mixer. So that would be for me kind of the different configs. I like this setup. It works for me because it gives me options, and I like options when I DJ. That's cool. So that's kind of my quick review of the XDJ-700. I hope you like the review. I hope you can support us by subscribing to our channel. Spread the word about DJ Tech Zone. We are here to stay. We will continue to push out content onto the internet, through the blog, through the YouTube channel, through Twitter, and just fill your needs or give you what you need when it comes to DJ technology news and DJ information, DJ gear information, DJ control information. There's a lot coming up from DJ Tech Zone in the next few months, a few surprises, a few expansions of the blog and of the YouTube channel. So keep an eye on us. We are ambitious and going big. So support us, subscribe, and come back anytime. And thank you for watching.